Yeah, so kind of diving in a little bit. So you said you've been traveling around the country and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I've been an interventionist.
You come a little closer to
Been an interventionist for coming up on 10 years. I've been in the field for 10 years of recovery, and I've been a CIP for the last several years, certified intervention professional. And yeah, I travel all over the country. I'm blessed to
That's awesome.
go in different people's homes.
That's awesome. And so A&E asked you to be on the Interventionist for season 20, correct?
That's correct.
So when they approach you about that, what do they just want you to help people out in Kennington and stuff like that, or?
No, well, every time they come into an area, they try and pigeonhole one interventionist that's from that area.
Okay.
So the information I was given that they did their due diligence prior to coming here, and they asked a couple different people in this community, the recovery community, and my name was given to them a couple times.
That's awesome.
So I take that as a real high compliment. I'm blessed. You know, it's, I've had a lot of people say a lot of bad things about me over the years.
I mean, why would
certainly not a bad.
Why'd you say that?
No, talking about my history as in addiction. I mean, I wasn't welcome to a lot of Thanksgiving dinners. Okay,
right,
all right. But maybe today now I am because of how I've turned myself around for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So you had trouble with addiction?
Yeah, I've been sober since March 4th, 2006.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Cocaine and alcohol were my drugs of choice. Alcohol first. Alcohol led into cocaine, and then every other, any substance I could put in my body.
Yeah.
People usually refer to that as a garbage can.
What
is that? What kind of led you down the path to wanting this to be your career?
Absolutely. I vigorously attacked Alcoholics Anonymous when I got sober, and a friend of mine had his name's Phil Kelly. He lived out in Abington at the time. He's currently in Connecticut now, but he became an interventionist. And I thought he was the coolest guy that ever walked the face of the earth. Because, are you kidding me? You can earn a living and get to go in and help people and do something decent. Like that was really attractive to me.
How do you normally prepare to go into uncharted territory and kind of take on the family, and it's got to be kind of an intimidating thing going into a family.
It's about to get really personal.
It is really personal. It's really raw. Where a gentleman and I don't know if I believe this 100%, but I know he was coming from the right place. He told me earlier in my career, he'd say, "Jimmy, listen, the addict's easy. It's the families that are hard."
Yeah.
Think about it.
Right.
You're dealing with 8 people, 8 different personalities. All 8 might have a different mindset of what's going to help or save or cure, for lack of a better word, their loved one. And that's where it's like herding cats.
So you said
you got to have a specialty.
So just to clarify, you said the addict's easy, the family's hard?
Yeah, that's just an expression, okay? It's just that working with the families is the most difficult, important part, the paramount piece of this process, because if the family doesn't change, the afflicted has no chance. If you go to treatment and everything in an intervention goes beyond spectacular, everyone's great, hugs, love, kisses, bubbles, unicorns, it's all great, all right?
Yeah.
That afflicted goes to treatment and comes right back to the same exact environment, the identical environment they were in 30 days ago, 60 days ago.
Right.
What do you think their chances of success are? I'll give you a big 0. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Or, pretty close to that.
Slim to none.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
They're going to go right back into those same patterns that brought them there.
You're upstairs in a house shooting dope in your mom and dad's back bedroom. You go 60 days of treatment somewhere. You're back right in that bedroom. That's certainly not a plus.
Right.
I mean, and that's why the real recovery, and if anyone's going to take anything from what I've said tonight, or you want to hold my feet to the fire, starts the moment you walk out of recovery. I want to be transparent here. I want to tell families that I'll give you the blueprint. I'll help you. I'll hold your hand. But the real work does not start till that person gets out of this cocooned environment.
Right.
That each and every one of them is basically ideally the same.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to love someone that can't love themselves and give them the tools for success.
That's the biggest thing. So without giving it your recipe away.
I'll give it away, bro. Listen.
I wanted to ask, when you're approaching a family, what's the first thing you think about and kind of going from there, branching off?
What I do is I probably do more personal digging than most interventionists. A lot of we all have our manuscripts, we all have our books, we all have our manuals, we all have what we do.
A script.
A script, exactly. So I do a lot of interpersonal digging, so I try and find out in this process what am I going to touch in this person's life? What am I going to recreate that's going to make treatment attractive to this person? Because like I said, one of the coolest things, and you'll hear it in recovery, is attraction promotion. Promotion sucks. If I'm going to stand up and jump up and down on your chest, Kevin, and say, Jim Reidy's the greatest, Jim Reidy's a cool dude, Jim Reidy, buy Jim Reidy.
Right,
that ain't going to work.
Yeah.
But if you're attracted to what I'm doing, if you're attracted to what I'm saying, and you're attracted to who I am, there's a stronger chance we're gonna connect.
That's what that's goes for everything. It's your actions. Let your actions speak. You know, you don't got to go kumbaya to yourself. And I wanted to quickly ask too, like, when you're eventually coming to that point where you're confronting the addict, and you're talking to them, how do you go into that? Like, how would you go into speaking to someone?
It's
like
scary,
that?
man.
Yeah.
It's scary every time. It doesn't matter if it's a 90-pound gal or a 300-pound, Olympic wrestler. I'm in this position where what comes out of my mouth is going to dictate if this person rises up off that couch and goes to treatment or not.
Right.
And to be able to mold that, it's just each person's different. Okay, let me forget.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
There is no cookie cutter mindset for this.
Right.
But what I truly try and do is say something different to motivate that person that's never been said to them before in their life. Where, there's also a buzz about that in our industry. Well, yeah, that's good for about 5 minutes. If you have that ability to motivate someone, rah. Let's get up. Let's stream for the door.
It doesn't last.
It doesn't last. Correct. No. It's a paper tiger. You know what I mean? It's hollow. It's hollow.
Like that Tony Robbins stuff.
There you go.
Gets you.
So to answer your question, that the group is the power source. I'm a facilitator. I'm there to help move a mountain and to help do something different for that moment in time with the family.
Right.
And then I always say to each and every family, now I am giving away trade secrets. If we show up and Kevin doesn't believe that things have changed, guys, we're dead in the water. Mm-hmm. So if things truly have changed, if because of what you've learned the day prior and what you've learned in your journey along the way, and you've formed different decisions, that afflicted person, that suffering addict, will know whether or not we're full of shit or not.
So when you were battling, what forced you to get out of it? Like, what was that thing that happened, or what was that step you took?
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that's a cliche in AA, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
I was tired of living like an animal. I was tired of working 40 hours a week and having nothing to show for it at the end of that week. Being addicted is like having 10 jobs and not getting paid for one of them. It's a horrible, horrible place to be.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that's why we even had you on, so you can maybe give an insight on what those people feel, because I know you know more than anybody. Mm-hmm. And also emphasize the families, too, and what they go through, because, drugs are, like, it's not the person that's the enemy, it's the drug they're using. You know what I mean? So if we could dive in maybe to some, some of the places you've been, and some of the cool, maybe.
Well, I've been blessed. I mean, since I started doing this, I've been all over the country. There's not one state I haven't been to. I've intervened on pizza shop owners, accountants, electricians, professional athletes, Olympic athletes, you name it, the whole gamut of nurses. Yeah. I've intervened on all walks of life. And I've been to some pretty cool places that it's given me a complete different perspective of who I am and how I arrived there.
You said you've done over like 300, correct? 400
documented
interventions?
interventions, yeah.
Wow.
That's the thing, doesn't discriminate, right?
No.
It can affect that's the thing, like, some people don't realize nobody's safe from this. Anybody can fall to it.
Yeah, and it's even worse than what people think it is because of the socio-economic discrepancy. What I mean by that is this. People with money, somebody with money, you can cover things up a lot easier. You can move, rob Peter to pay Paul for your child, because this will continue to go on, and it's just, it doesn't seem as bad to the outside world. Well, it doesn't matter. It still affects you. Mm-hmm. In the long run, nobody wins. Addiction is undefeated. Addiction is hands down undefeated. Right. If you fall into that lot where you are of the addictive type, that sooner or later you're going to have to come to that moment in time where you're either going to choose life or you're going to choose death.
Yeah, absolutely. And And yeah, it doesn't discriminate through money either.
No.
And it just completely ruins families no matter what.
It destroys.
And that seems to be the only two things it ends in, like you just said, is either life or death.
That's it.
From things that I've experienced, there's no other outcome than that usually.
No, there's not. You cannot live like that. And just in our area right here, and I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, there are so many. People have no idea the hot potato effect of what families are going through with the addicted person. Because 1 minute they're living in mom and dad's home. Mom and dad evict them. Next thing you know, they're over at grandmom's home in Mayfair. Grandmom's taking them in. This is not the way it's supposed to be dealt with.
It's not even a way to live.
Right.
No,
that
it's
could be
horrible for everybody.
That could be the perfect opportunity to kind of start to dive into what it does to the family as a whole. Because people, I don't know if you've seen it yet. I watched The Beautiful Boy the other night on Amazon Prime with Steve Carell. It's a great movie. I just watched it from 2018. His son was addicted in it. But I've been doing my own research, and now it said like under 50 overdose is the leading cause of death in America. So there's obviously getting to the point where almost everybody, I feel like, knows somebody, but I don't think everybody necessarily understands the devastation it brings on the family.
When I walk into someone's homes, generally, that afflicted person I'm there to work with usually has another family member that's also afflicted with that. So, i.e., they call it the family disease. That's not all the time, but it seems to be pretty prevalent in my career, my area.
And when you talk to those families, are there any steps you may give them? Or
Absolutely. The family's more important than the afflicted at that time.
Right.
If the afflicted goes off and gets better, or tries to get better, goes to rehab, does their thing, does what they're told, follows all the breadcrumbs, does what's asked of them, and the family's back here staying unhealthy, staying stuck right where they were at, then that's not going to work.
Right.
It's that's why they call it the family disease, because everyone's affected, from grandmoms to uncles to aunts to neighbors.
Yeah.
Everybody's affected.
And it's we got to emphasize too. I mean, our opinions, I would say it is a disease.
Well, it's in the American Medical Journal as a disease.
Right.
Okay. It's a form of mental health disease. People don't put death or poison in their body on a regular basis if they're of right mind.
Right state mind.
It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
I mean, there's, people have different ideologies of, are they a loser? Are they lazy? Or are they this? Listen, I hear it all the time, and I just bite my tongue. And I'm not here to impose my will on the universe. I'm here to help who I can and move on to the next. I'm here to do the best I can. If I'm going to get in that great debate with each and every person, that I'm in a room with a family intervention, like that's the first part of intervention. I'll work with the family the day before, then I intervene on the afflicted the next day. If I'm there and I'm going to debate each and every person in that room that thinks little Joey's just a loser, little Joey just needs to get a girlfriend, little Joey just needs to go to college or do whatever, listen, that's a whole lot of wasted energy. You can give somebody a job with $1 million, and you can have a matching pension plan for that at the end of the week, and send them to work in a gold helicopter. It's not going to matter.
So
What
true.
does that
That's
matter?
so true.
Exactly.
What does that
And
matter? They're going to be dead quicker.
It's so true. And it comes down to, listen, whether you want to admit it or not, everybody's got a void in their life. Every single, if you're a human being, you have problems, and certain people choose how they address that. And it's not like you were saying, like, I feel like with the addict, it's not that they're doing that. It's that's how they've that's how they are addressing it. The issue.
It's self-medicating an underlying issue.
There's an issue that's not resolved. They do the drug, and then they become ashamed of who they are when they're doing it, which makes them just want to do it even more, to forget about how shameful they are of themselves. It's a vicious, never-ending cycle that tears your families apart. And I mean, I guess it's the perfect time. Right before I came on, I told my mom who you were, and you actually helped my brother get into rehab in California.
Yes, I did.
Which is amazing. Thank you so much for that. And then, I mean, my brother lost his battle with it. And not everybody's gonna, like we were talking about earlier, some people get out of it, but not everybody can. And me and my mom were kind of talking about it before I came on. I was like, you know, I don't really want to get too personal. She was like, why? Just speak your truth. Speak your truth. And the truth is, I don't care if you believe in heaven or hell or if you're spiritual, but that is hell. That right there is hell. What my family went through, that is something that I don't wish upon anybody in the world. And it's something that's hell on earth right there. We weren't able to have people over my house when I was growing up. Throughout my childhood, we were afraid of where's Christian going to be? Is he going to be on my deck, or is he going to come in the middle of the party, or is he going to be out front? And my mom, and we have a lot of regrets. We have a lot of regrets because toward the end we started kind of showing that tough love. My dad has the biggest heart in the world. He's very compassionate, and he did every single thing he could. And there were people saying, you know, you got to be tough. You got to show tough love. You can't enable. And then once we kind of finally showed it, that's when he ended up passing. And it's like, we definitely still go through like PTSD and regrets from all that. And it's just crazy because people don't understand the family factor of it. You know,
the family is the biggest part of it. And that's what I've been preaching. I'm getting chills right now because I've been preaching this for a decade.
Yeah.
Is that the family? Give me a family that's willing to try and listen and follow good orderly direction and understand the simplicity of this. Everyone thinks that enabling is a bad word. You enable, you know, it's a hot dot word. Everybody's caught up in these cool hot dot words.
Right.
Guess what? Enabling means loving someone, loving the shit out of someone, but loving them the wrong way at that moment in time. So when you're an enabler, you're not a bad person. You want to enable your kid to go to college. You want to enable your kid to do X, Y, or Z, buy their first home. You want to help with the down payment. Right. That's fantastic. That's what life's all about. Yeah. That's a good thing. But when you're dealing with a loved one that you want to love and you want to see them rise up, you want to see them live and not be in this just dark, dark, dark hole. You do everything in your power to help them. And I can say this, and I'm going out on a limb here, Nick, is that God bless your family. You know, I know all your family, your Aunt Gina, just a remarkably beautiful person. I told you I spoke to her during the summer, tears in my eyes, you know, then and now. Your Uncle David is one of the absolutely wildest, coolest guys on the planet Earth. Funny, just loving, just super dude. You're blessed to have him as a friend. It's just that families think that you could have done too much, you could have done too little. That, listen, I say this with complete love in my heart, man, that your brother was going to die when you put poison or death in your body. That's what happens.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's so hard to say. Even I can hear my voice that they're not doctors. They don't know how to prescribe a Schedule 2 to 5 narcotic. Like, what are we talking about? And that's the gravity of this. That when people say, and I'll come over the top of this, when I do an intervention, and the next day we talk about tough love, bottom line, whatever it may be, we morph into everyone's face goes white. Everyone's face goes, well, that means if we move them out of the house, then they're going to kill themselves.
Right.
No.
Right.
No, stop. Stop yourself right now. That's not reality. That's what the addiction does to your family.
It's a fight that nothing could have prepared us for. It's a battle to the end. Like, it's just every single day you wake up, it's like chasing you. You know what I mean? And it's
not knowing.
And those cold winter nights where like we would have to face the fact. Like, I think all the time about my parents, like their son, because he would come to the house. You know what I mean? Like on those cold winter nights, and like. We just couldn't let him in. Like we couldn't, and it was like something where we're like looking at him out the window, and we're like, oh my God.
We're morphing into heartbreaking stuff right now.
Yeah.
And this is what I deal with.
But it's reality, you know.
It's reality. This is it. But you have to go back to where. When you allow someone to come in your house and they steal your wallet, they steal your car keys, they steal your checkbook, and all these things happen repetitively, it's like in this great unknown. Well, the great unknown is this, is that your mother or father, and I hope they listen to this, they didn't cause this disease and they couldn't cure it. That's the reality of addiction. They did not cause this. Bad parenting, good parenting. I've worked with some of the most just blessed, beautiful families in the country where I would trust these people with my children. They're good, rock-solid parents. That has nothing to do with the fact that your brother or any other brother became addicted. That's a fact.
Absolutely.
Good or bad parenting has nothing to do with this. And people need to stand up and stop feeling embarrassed or that scarlet letter on them or the shame. It's all BS. What it comes down to is this. Your brother suffered from a horrible disease. It took his life. Your parents did everything in their power to help save him. That wasn't enough. It certainly was not from lack of trying or lack of love. They loved your brother, and they loved him till the end. That's a fact.
Thank you so much for saying that. That was amazing. Yeah. I
the
couldn't agree anymore. Kid I grew up, another kid we know really well. I grew up with. He lost his brother as well. I mean, this thing's tearing through our society right now. It's just tearing through. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. We could probably pull them up, but I mean,
I gave 10% of let's just focus on the United States. Let's not go worldwide. 10% of the United States is addicted right now. There's last census there was 340 million Americans. That puts 34 million Americans that suffer from addiction. Is that it's a staggering number that is left untreated, and everything is asked upside down in regards to what's right, what's wrong, who does this, how we give treatment. Nobody has the same answer. You could ask 20 people in the recovery world the same exact question and get 20 different answers.
Yeah.
And these people are beautiful, loving, giving, caring, tolerant, patient people who want to help suffering human beings. But you'll get 20 different answers to the same question.
Would you say, there's someone in my family who's currently suffering, so I'm just like, for the people listening too, if there's somebody in their family who's still, alive and suffering, do you advise like the tough love? Because I know it's so difficult. Like I feel like the person that's supporting has to be the one that's constantly loving. What would you say to a family who is has someone in their family struggling?
Listen, I'm trained in what's called the Johnson model of interventions. It comes down to it's letter reading, letter writing, it's ambush, and if there's no acceptance, then comes tough love. So I don't believe in the fact that if you're going to do tough love, as your mother and father did, that's the hard thing.
It took, and that was the last resort. Trust me, they exhausted every option they could.
Known to mankind.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that tough love is the hardest thing on the planet to do. It's real love. It's loving someone. It's getting extraordinarily uncomfortable in an uncomfortable situation. Where here's what it comes down to. It's not easy. As we were speaking earlier, I was speaking to your mom and dad downstairs. I apologize. I said, like, good people in our area right now. I go over, I do a conference with a family. I meet them in their living room, see if I'm the right fit, if I could be an asset in their life. And as we're speaking, Mom's pointing upstairs in the back bedroom. That's where XY is doing, shooting dope right now. And then you say to yourself, okay, hold on. Your child's upstairs shooting dope right now, and that's the best you can do, because the other option is the street.
Exactly.
Okay? But then you're scared to death. Well, here's another uncomfortable saying, but it's in recovery. You're loving your kid, but you're loving them to death also. You know what I mean?
Over loving them, you think?
Your child's upstairs in your back bedroom shooting dope. That's not a recipe for success.
Right.
Sometimes, and this can be anybody in your life, whether it's a friend, a family member. Sometimes you have to look at the person and say, look, you're really aiming down. You're aiming down. And if you're too attached to it, you can go down with them. That's another thing.
Sure.
Sometimes you have to say, listen, I'm going to go over here for a while and I'm going to live my life and I'm going to try to do the things the best way I can do them. I'm going to try to do the right things, act the right way, be the right type of person that I want to be in the world. And then maybe they'll see that. Maybe they'll see that you're living that way, and maybe finally they'll wake up.
It's called detaching with love.
Exactly. And it's so hard to say who's going to come out of that hell and who isn't, because I forgot to mention this. This is amazing, by the way. When you helped my brother get into California, he actually met a kid named Aaron out in California. He's from York, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it was a buddy of mine, Marco, yeah.
Absolutely.
That was the connection. We
Right. So my brother and this kid, Aaron, they were both from PA, and they both were out in California, and they were like, oh, man, you're from PA too. Ended up, having a connection. Aaron was an electrician. He was in the electricians union, I believe in York. He was addicted to heroin. Ended up getting fired from the union, going to California. My dad owns a small business, like fire alarm system. He does like all wiring, electrician work, all types of stuff, cameras. So my brother said to him, my brother called my dad and said, I got this kid Aaron out here who has experience doing electrician work. What do you think about when we come home if you can try to hire him? And my dad goes, I don't know, because it never panned out in the past. All the people my brother would bring around would come and leave. So this kid now, he's been working now for 3 years for my father. He is 3 years clean and sober.
Yes.
He drives a truck now, my dad's business truck. He's got one. He has his own apartment now. He is doing amazing, shows up for work every day. He's an amazing worker, hard worker, and it's turned out amazing. And some stories go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Marco. That's how he got out to California. Marco and I were working together, doing interventions and helping people. So let's try something different. Let's try for a longer term. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's a phenomenal story.
And it's so great when you hear one that worked.
Stop! Come on! Listen on my phone when I get a message. It doesn't matter when it is. Hey, celebrating 2 years sober today.
It's amazing.
And here's the part. Yeah, that's amazing. But also I have to stay transparent where I wish to God the numbers were just so much different, so much more skewed in the direction of success where they truly aren't. They truly aren't.
Well, I think the biggest thing is it's so imperative for the people that do make it out to share their story and keep inspiring other people. But beyond that, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Awesome.
All right, and we're back. And so real quick, I wanted to bring up something. You mentioned your support system, how your wife helps you out so much.
She's my road buddy.
Yeah. How much do you emphasize a great support system when it comes to someone who's addicted?
Wow. That's a remarkable question. The reason being it's so close to home that my wife's journey and we met because I knew her brother growing up. We went to Father Judge High School together.
Okay.
So from there, her and I reconnected so many years later because he was suffering from alcoholism. And her sole goal in life as a sister, as a loving, caring sister, and whether anyone knows this or not, I don't give a shit. Yeah. It's just the truth. She dedicated her whole life to saving her brother.
Yeah.
And she dedicated her whole life to helping his children have a chance at a life with their father. And she chased this guy for years and years. And she knows now that she did a lot of things wrong. But in the end, when some people came into her life and we had connected, that she had taken good direction, and that's why her brother today has 5 years sober.
That's all. What would you think she did wrong?
She did wrong was she was chasing the shit out of him. Everything he did, she was trying to micromanage the snot out of him. When he'd be on a bar on Frankfurt Avenue, she's going in to drag him out. And that's only done by love. That's why I say, listen closely. Enabling. Loving someone, but loving them the wrong way. She loves the crap out of her nieces and nephews, her entire family. She's this insanely remarkable human being.
It's anything in life. If you are going to change, you're the only person who can do it. Nobody can change. Yeah. Nobody can change you. You know what I mean? Nobody can come in and change you. Listen. I got it's the same thing with friends. You can tell somebody something a million times, and then what are they going to do when the conversation ends and they get a couple days? They're going to go right back to it's like
that applies to everything.
Well, yes. Keep it simple. That's what I do in the way I treat families and the way I connect with families. I don't come out there. I don't have to use giant words to impress people because no giant word in the history of mankind has ever gotten somebody sober. Because when was the last time somebody was sticking a needle in their neck, wanted to hear about didactums of care, modalities of care? No one. It's that connection. It's that loving connection between like-minded people that suffer in the same fashion. Let me say this before I forget, Nick. That was awesome you said that. I say it in every intervention family I go on. Okay. Changing your own mind is next to impossible. changing another human being's mind is impossible. It's never worked once in the history of mankind.
So it's takes your whole life to just, I feel like, change who you like. To master yourself, you know what I mean? Try mastering somebody else. People don't realize how, like, and what do I know? I'm 24 years old, but like, I feel like I'm learning more.
I'm 28.
You're 25. Nah, you're 25. But people don't realize, like, I think I'm figuring it out more and more, is like how complex life is. Like, you can't change somebody else. It's hard enough to change you.
Exactly.
Ego. I'll give you a life answer right now. That's life's answer, is that ego drives that. That's where people get caught up in the fact of what you can or can't do for another human being or what you can for yourself.
Right.
There's a whole lot of expressions in recovery that I'm wickedly attracted to. One of them is just stay on your own side of the street and mind your own side. And if you can do that, you've got a chance.
Yeah.
But when your ego's so grand and you're thinking my wisdom or whatever powers I possess I can impose them on another human being and they're going to change their mind, zero. That's got zero of a chance.
I mean, it sucks because you have everybody out there who just wants to help other people, but you realize by doing that or overdoing it, you're making it worse, you know?
Sometimes, listen, that's a great statement, because I absolutely, I could not adore more or think that these people are selfless and beautiful and loving and caring, and people just where you came from with having a family member pass. You have the folks that go down to Kensington and give people socks, give people toothbrushes, give people clean, just toiletries, whatever it is. That's humanity. That means you're a beautiful person. You truly care, like you're a remarkable individual. But now turn the page and look at the flip side. You're saying it's okay down here. We accept you. We accept it being this way. You're going to be more comfortable. You're going to die more comfortable, because each and every person down there, and this is a fact, is 1 second away from having a bad dose, from having a bad shot, and then it's game over.
I feel like in our society today too, especially, like, it's all about like making them feel good. Like, you're a good person. Sometimes, man, it comes down to telling people how it is. Like, everyone's so quick to assume like everyone's just good. I take a look at myself all the time. I'm like, I don't think naturally I'm a good person. I think it's something I have to work very, very, very hard at every day to be a good person. Like, it's hard to be a good person. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it takes learning and being an asshole to really learn. You know what I mean? Learn from your mistakes.
Wow. Guys, accountability is huge. There has to be a part of that, because as we were speaking earlier about the hot potato effect of what goes on in the afflicted life and their families, where everyone's trying to say, okay, well, Stevie will go over here, Susie will go over here, we'll go to grandmom's house again. Guys, that's unhealthy. It doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't work.
You're not. Go ahead, Nick.
Like you said, it's like, you let them in the house and then they're shooting dope in your house. You know what I mean? They're in the bathroom shooting dope, or they're in the bedroom. It's like, at a certain point, it's like, okay, this can't happen where in this house. There's other people who live here.
And that's healthy.
Like there's a whole household that lives here. Like, it needs to function.
Right. But you're not putting that person out on the street. You're saying to them with love, with every fiber of your body, every conviction in your soul, that we're here to help you. When you want help, we will never, ever, ever turn our backs on you. And that's what I promote.
Exactly.
That's what I do.
And it all goes for a full circle, and then into them saying they need to help themselves. They need to understand. You know what I mean? Because
it's like, nobody's gonna deny their loved one when they're actually ready to change and get help. It's the simple fact of the matter is, it's just them getting to that point of actually wanting the help.
They have to
actually have to want it.
Everything along the way, and this is, garden variety catchphrase, recovery stuff, is that seeds are being planted. And that's the truth. There's not one facility in this area that doesn't have remarkable, amazing, beautiful, selfless people working in it. And I'm not talking about doctors. I'm not talking about nurses like you, Nick. All right, big shot nurse. I'm talking about the techs that spend 2 hours sitting with a kid at the end of the hall, smoking a cigarette, and saying to him when it's all over that nobody will ever forget you as a person. You're worth it. You're worthwhile. You mean something. Just put it down and start walking forward. I just did an intervention recently, and for HIPAA reasons and for other things, privacy that I hold to the highest regard for each and every family I work with. I'll just give you a quick overview because I am allowed to do that. No names are mentioned. Right?
Yeah, we'll stress that. No names these are not legit names. These are all just made up.
When I'm saying Mary and Steve.
Yeah, the stories are very real though. The stories are very real.
So I go out and I do an intervention, and it's an intervention where there's 3 children, a mom and dad, and a supportive family. When I say 3 children, one of the children is deceased, but I'll get to that in a second. So I go out and we do the family day, and I find out that the 3rd child, the youngest, a daughter at 10 months old, was drowned in the tub of the family home by her brother with extreme special needs. He suffers from Down syndrome and he suffers from autism at the same time. Well, at this time, he went into his sister's room and brought her out of the crib, brought her into the tub, and she drowned. So as looking at this family, whether that has anything to do with the addiction that went on, whether someone wasn't, at their station when they should have been, that's for a higher pay grade than me. I'm making that crystal clear.
Right.
But this gentleman received a successful intervention on Thursday. His 2 children that are alive desperately need him. Like nothing more could matter. They have to start living and stop walking on eggshells as a family.
Right.
Sunday, the guy walked out of treatment. This past Sunday, he walked out of treatment, and he is no longer in treatment. So you ask me, you want to go back and forth, Nick, with your mom and dad, and I'll talk about them for the next 5 hours if you want, because they deserve that. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Is that that this family loved the shit out of this guy. We did a perfect intervention. Everything went perfectly. The letters went right. We backed him into an emotional corner where he knew that the next right healthy thing to do, even under the guise of alcoholism, was to get up and go to treatment with Jim. Okay? We did that. We went from X to Y, all the way across country. Well, 3 days later, alcoholism, addiction, running his mind, told him it was a good idea to get up and walk out of treatment.
Yeah.
How do you combat that? Give me Gandhi, give me Oprah, give me Dr. Oz, give me anyone you want. They're not going to fix that.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to fix that.
No.
But if that guy would have stayed in treatment, to answer your question, is he would have heard something or learned something. Because yes, when I sit across from people that are afflicted, it's not a fair fight.
Right.
They're saying things that they believe in with all their minds and all their hearts and all their souls, and none of it is adding up.
Right.
0.
Yeah.
You need to get help. You need to get out of your own way. You need to surrender, and then you might have a modicum of a chance to get better.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
Those demons it's the demons, man. They keep calling, and you got to face them. You got to face them head on. You can't run away from them. What do you think the importance is of treating yourself like someone that matters, treating yourself like someone you care for and that matters? Because it's, in my opinion, it's huge. A lot of it comes down to the choices. I think choices are everything, because you make a bad choice and then you're ashamed of it. And what do you want to do? You want to go get high, or you want to go get drunk to forget about it, to forget about that shame. You know what I mean? So what do you think the importance is on just the daily choices that you're making as a person?
Listen, I speak it out all the time. While I was getting high, while I was living that active using lifestyle, probably on a Monday morning, any Monday morning, we're not talking about a holiday Monday morning, just any regular Monday morning by 10 a.m., I would have told more lies between the moment I opened my eyes and 10 a.m. than some people would in a year.
Yeah.
In a year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I was the Mike Tyson of lying. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I just lied for no reason. It just became so routine. And I say that because it's simple. Today, I'm aware when I lie, and everyone in treatment, everyone in recovery, we all say, "Oh, we don't lie, we don't lie." Listen, I'm a human being, all right?
Yeah.
I'm fallible. I can say something that maybe I might have twisted the truth, or that may have benefited me. The one thing I can promise you, and promise my wife if she's listening, is that I'm aware of that today.
Yeah.
I'm aware of the human being I am today. So on a constant 24-hour reprieve, I treat myself with respect. I understand that I make mistakes and that I act like a spaz sometimes, and I shouldn't. But the reality is, that's light years better than living like an animal, chasing some drug.
That's amazing because what you say matters too. What you say
comes
matters.
out of your mouth.
That's something like a couple years ago, I didn't even think about that. I just would say anything, like just like bullshitting myself. Like I'm lying to myself about things, and it's like
called growth. Dude.
Yeah,
come on, you're 24.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and as I'm growing, it's like now I realize like the weight that just your words hold. You know what I mean? Because like you were like one of the first things you said was when you were going through your struggles was you just got so sick and tired of being tired. It's just this cycle. You're lying, and then what do you got to do? You got to cover up the lies that you lied.
Yeah.
You got to lie about your lies.
Yeah.
It's like so you got to be cognitive of what you're saying and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Listen. People get sober, and that's what this journey is all about. Sobriety is a progress, and I'm not going to sit here and pontificate for anyone else and act like I know any more than anyone else, because I don't. What I do know is this: there's a simple set of rules that I follow, that no matter what throughout the course of my day, when I speak negatively of people, my day instantly goes into the shitter. Instantly.
Yeah.
Because that poison, that just dirt that I just suck down into my body, it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. And I know this, that when I go through a day and I speak not negatively about one soul, and I stick to myself and I try to tell the truth to the best of my ability, and I just try and do somewhat the right thing, the next right thing, hold the door at Wawa, throw a piece of trash can in the trash, it bounces out, go back and pick it up. That makes you a better human being.
Right.
I got the chills right now.
Well,
man.
dude, something.
Oh my God.
He kind of hit it right on the head. Like there are times where I'll catch myself, and that's a thing too. It's so easy to find yourself talking bad about somebody because maybe they're not in the room or whatever.
It's insecurity,
right?
It's inside of you.
Yeah, and there are times where I find myself doing that, and I'm like, and then I think about the person. I'm like, then I start thinking about their good qualities. I'm like, dude, they're a good person. They're not, like, why am I saying this? You catch yourself like talking.
We all do. We all do.
Broken dolls, man. We're insecure.
It's so hard.
Humanity is insecure at its core.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm, a broken, insecure alcoholic. And each day I notice that and recognize that.
It's so true. Like I catch myself doing the same things, and it comes down to insecurity. Like I said, I don't naturally think it's easy to be a good person. I think you have to get up every day and work your ass off to like you said, I just dropped that piece of trash. Let me not walk past it 50 times before I pick it up.
Yeah.
You know, let me pick it up. Let me show character here.
Right.
It comes down to character, man.
And being good takes effort, like for sure, like you just said, and also too when it leads to like, people who are addicts, like they use drugs to maybe get through their problems.
And when you're going around, that's another thing. Like the world works like what you put out just comes right back to you. You know what I mean? If you're walking around and you're judging everybody, that guy's a loser. He's unemployed. Look at him. He's homeless. All that's doing is it's like you're taking poison and expecting them to die from it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's like eating a giant shit sandwich.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like why are you even getting up, starting your day?
Yeah.
With that energy, just try to look at everything, and in a positive way.
Yeah, and I spoke to somebody the other day in Miami, and he told me, he's like, dude, like, and it's so simple, but it's like, dude, putting good energy out there brings it right back. When you put good out, you get it right back in some way or form.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
like say, like you were saying, hold that door for that person. Say thank you. Like it's so small. That's the thing. It's the micro routines in our day that most people think are just trivial. Like most people are like, oh, you get up, you brush your teeth, you go to the bathroom, take a dump, whatever.
Yeah.
Those like the micro routines is what makes the change. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, and at least like we said, talk about all the time. It's the compound effect. It's little things.
Right. Yes. Well, that's what recovery is. Recovery is getting involved and putting your hand out and saying, I don't know, and having someone else who there are, and there's so many unsung heroes. You know, I'm very blessed to have been on a television show. Like, yeah, that's fantastic. People like yourselves that ask me to come and do stuff like this. Like, I love it. This is, you know, I'm blessed, and I don't take it for granted. No. It's just that there's so many other people that are in recovery that do the real meat and potatoes, hard work of putting their hand out to sick, suffering addicts every day for no money, because remember, I get paid for what I do. It's not altruistic. I'm not coming up here trying to act like Mother Teresa. No. You know, when I do an intervention, I charge.
You get paid.
Right. I charge money to earn a living.
Well, this is the thing. It's like the only reason why you'd probably be charging is just to maintain a lifestyle.
That's to live.
Because you're dedicating so much time and effort. It's like you want to be able to live. You know what I mean?
Have you done any work down in the Kensington area or anything?
I did work when I was on the show, and I've gone on holidays to give out food, to donate. Yeah. What's enough? I'm a little apprehensive. You can hear my voice right there, because the answer is no. Have I done enough? Right. But then on top of that, and I hate that word, but after but comes an excuse or a lie. So you put me in that spot.
That's true.
Because the answer is, yeah, I should do more. It gets overwhelming. It just gets so... like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, because I look at people and I view them as this, that if I could give one gift, just one smidgen of what I've gotten in recovery, and for that person to have an opportunity to live life like that, that's all it comes down to.
I mean, that just leads to, you know, it's I'm sure it sucks, because like you do one thing and there's another person right around the corner who needs something. But
Kensington, I'll tell you what, man, you go down to Kensington, that can take like a month off your life, just seeing like that is I'll say it again, I don't care if you're spiritual. I personally am, but everybody's got their own things. That's hell. You don't have to believe in heaven or hell. It's right in front of you. That is hell down there. It's like on earth.
That's absolutely true, and it's absolutely real, and it's absolutely the epicenter of just pain in our city. Okay, there's no fact about that. That's just the way it is. It's like when you go down there at 4 o'clock in the morning for a call or doing whatever, it's like the night of the living dead.
It's like the purge.
It's like the night of the living dead. That's exactly what it's like, okay? But guys, don't forget, don't lose sight of that addiction from, you know, methamphetamine, benzodiazepine, Valium, Xanax, cocaine, alcohol. It's everywhere, bro. There are kids sleeping in their closets tonight because their fathers come home alcoholically lit up. And they're going to either pound on the mom or pound on them. So they hide in the closet. That's just as disparaging. That's just as real. Yeah. Do not lose sight of that.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
It can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
It can happen
anywhere. Every pocket of I've been in homes, like I said, all over our city. And that's one of the blessings. When I walk into people's homes, I can smell, I can taste, I can feel the exact environment that I grew up in. That, you know, an alcoholic knows an alcoholic. Right. An alcoholic kid knows an alcoholic kid's father is struggling. It's this innate thing that we all share.
Yeah, it's amazing, because like, man, PTSD, like you're saying, like you it's like I still can like have I still have like those like feelings. Like I could walk in a house right now, I feel like, of an addict or something, and the smells and the sounds and all that stuff will just flush right back, and it's like gives you like depression immediately. Like you just feel it right away. You're like, oh man, like
it is so real.
God.
But here's what people lose sight of, and I want to do this justice. Trauma is real.
Oh yeah,
trauma is so real. It's so raw on every nerve of your body, and there's so many different ways it comes out. It just spills out. Trauma needs to be dealt with. Trauma needs to be recognized. Trauma's from your brother passing. Trauma's for your mom and dad. Trauma's for me, for my father being an alcoholic and sleeping in the closet. I'm one of those kids, so I can expand on that. But guys, trauma doesn't cause addiction. If trauma caused addiction, 340 million Americans would be walking around with needles hanging out of their necks. Think about it. Okay? Everybody has trauma. You've had trauma. You've certainly, I know your trauma, and that's not just with trauma. Everybody. What, my trauma is more than yours? because my dad was an alcoholic and he was abusive towards my mother and yada, yada, yada. Next thing you know, I'm sleeping in the closet that none of my friends know about. That's my trauma, okay? That doesn't even hit the Richter scale, guys.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
I did an intervention in Amsterdam. Oh my God, Annapolis.
I was about to say, yeah. I was like, who do we have on?
I began with an A. I went Amsterdam.
Who do we got on the show right now?
We can cut that. I did an intervention in Annapolis. Oh my God, I was going to say it again. Annapolis. 2 brothers. All right. The 2 brothers, when they were growing up, under the age of 5, their father was murdered when they were 5. He was murdered in their home.
Right.
Up until then, they slept under a step. They were beaten. They were raped. They were sodomized. They had cigarettes put out on them. They went to bed hungry, okay? I can't even begin to fathom one of those things. My mother and father were beautiful people. My father suffered from a horrible disease that when he put alcohol in his body, he acted like a rabid animal. Right. I suffered the consequences of that. Big deal, okay? These kids went through trauma, okay? They were adopted at like 5.5, 6 years old, went on to live with the same family, yada, yada. One's an ensign in the Navy in the medical program. The other's an addict, okay? I don't have the rhyme or reason for why that is. But when I asked the one brother, the survivor, who was putting together the intervention, dude, man, don't you have trauma from that? Don't you suffer from that? He looked me square in the eye and said, you're damn right I do. And I go to therapy for it, and I'm proactive about it. And it sucks. My childhood sucked. He goes, but that doesn't make someone an addict. And this is him teaching me.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, you have to look around and you have to say to yourself, you know, what a young girl that's molested or raped, not every girl that was molested grew up to be an addict.
Right.
Right.
That's a true fact.
Exactly.
Okay. So why? Nobody knows the why, but who gives a shit about the why?
It's each person.
It's the chicken or the egg.
Right.
We suffer from mental health disease. I suffer from mental health disease called addiction. I also know that untreated, without a daily regular reprieve, that I'm doomed.
Right.
That it's not going to work. So that's the recipe for me for success. And I don't worry about, you know, the chicken or the egg with trauma. Trauma's real. Okay?
Right.
You know,
Absolutely. It's as real as anything.
I hold it in the highest regard. But let's not lose sight of this. If that were the case, if that caused the root cause of addiction, you know, come on. Like the whole world would be.
There's also certain aspects you can use trauma as fuel in a way too.
Oh, beautiful.
To make you you know, say I never ever want to feel anything ever like that again, and I will do everything in my power. I can only worry about me. I can't worry about, you know, this person, that person, but I will do every single thing in my power to make sure that me, myself, and my family have to never feel that way again.
Let me give this as a fact, just an overview that people need to understand and people might start to gravitate towards, that addicts aren't weak. I intervened on an Olympic wrestler. He has more strength and courage and willpower in his pinky than most humans have in their entire bodies. That's a fact.
Yeah, 100%.
But when I met him, I didn't meet him on his best day when he was on a podium. I met him when he was shooting dope in Boston Logan Airport parking lot, because that's where he worked, at Boston Logan. Okay. So back on point is that to answer your question, Nick, 10 people can put their noses down on a table, whether it be cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, whatever drug it may be. And 2 of those people are coming up addicted, okay? Roughly, okay? If I said that right. No, check that. I said that wrong. If there's 10 people, 1 to 1.2. I overdrive. Someone's coming up addicted, okay? So now with understanding that if you have that predisposition of your mind and that's who you are, you're screwed.
Right.
You're screwed. But people with willpower, because there's been many people I've used cocaine with that aren't addicts.
That's interesting.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the game changed when opiates got involved, because you generally don't die from sniffing a line of cocaine.
Right.
But if you use too much of the opioid or opiate, instantly you can die.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
not.
it's like fentanyl now out there, right?
Oh, dear God.
I
yeah.
mean, dude, it's not so much. I won't say necessarily like the coke. It's what it leads to. You know, it's like, oh, this ain't strong enough anymore. Let me put.
And that's listen to me. I became a garbage can. It was Valium, Percocet, Xanax, opiates, cocaine, smoking heroin. Listen, it's just a progression. Enough's never enough.
So there's tons of people out there that have so many regrets and like things they did that they just, for some reason or another, I don't think there's any like right reason, but they can just never get over it. Like they just, that shame,
Guilt, shame, and remorse.
How were you able to climb your way out of that? Because you said like, I know you must not have felt good about yourself
What?
during that time.
Are you kidding me?
Good question.
So how were you able to look at all of those things that you did and just like close that page and go forward from
Right.
that?
If this will give anyone inspiration out there that's going to hear this tonight, and that's an awesome question, bro.
Yeah, good question, bro. Good shit.
Wickedly smart. It's a progress. It's a process. It's progress of when I put down booze and drugs, and for the last time, I had people around me that said, "You're not that bad. Just stick around. Just stick around and just see for yourself." And as you start to hear other people's stories, you start to understand I'm not that bad. Mm-hmm. I'm truly not. I'm not a throwaway. And as I tell my friend Steven all the time, I say, see if you can keep up with this, is that I say, Steve, I was so riddled with guilt, shame, and remorse growing up in an alcoholic family, growing up with my dad, growing up with these insecurities. Every room I walked into, I was the loudest person in it. I tried to take over the room. I was a broken dude. I was so insecure, It was almost comical. Like that was the crippling part of me,
Right.
of who I truly was, okay? So when I first got sober, what I said to Steven was, holy shit, dude, if I knew people were this fucked up, I probably would have never gotten sober because the world's messed up.
Right.
Behind every door in every home, there's tragedy and trauma.
Yeah.
You're just another human being trying to survive. And every time I say it to him, I'm like, dude, of course I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
But I say, truly, I was so self-absorbed and caught up in my own isms and my own just tragedy, my Greek tragedy that was me, that I didn't have the ability to look around and see other people's lives and see that, listen, your family's going through some serious shit right there too, just like my family is.
You stand out less, I guess.
The stigma doesn't exist. Is
Right.
that I'll say this on radio now. Hopefully I don't regret it tonight at 4:00 in the morning. Growing up in Rawhurst, I grew up in a small community, okay? I certainly was not the John Dillinger, the Jesse James of Rawhurst. All right, no one pegged me as that.
Right.
A lot of people would say he was just, a wise ass. He was just, self-centered or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And people have every right to think those things because they were true. Okay. The worst thing I ever did in my life was I went to Atlantic City with two friends. I was high on cocaine out of my mind. I'd spent $2,000 that wasn't my money. Okay, was not my money.
Jesus Christ.
So as my friend Joe slept, I went into his wallet and stole his credit card and proceeded to bleed his credit card dry throughout the night while he slept. That's the worst thing I've ever done in my life, guys, and I just said it on radio.
That's intense, bro. I mean, so
Wow.
I'm kind of curious. What was the blowback from that?
Blowback was that my reputation was destroyed.
Yeah.
I now became a cretin. I now became a loser. I now became a monster. I now became untouchable. That Jimmy Reidy would do such a thing.
Right.
So do you feel did you have to isolate yourself to find yourself? Did you have to pull back from everything for a while?
Oh, absolutely.
And just
God,
figure out, what the F's going on. Like, I got to figure this shit out, man.
Dude, I had a broken brain. Our brains lie to us. That's why when you guys touch on some remarkably mature and adult conversation here, trying to figure things out and trying to present to your audience some cool stuff, is that what people don't understand is that our brains lie to us. Our brains lie to us on a daily moment basis, moment to moment basis. And with that answer, Nick, is that, I took 10 months to myself when I first got sober. My buddy Dominic Gullah, God bless his soul, had a home over in Jenkintown. He let me rent the attic out. And when I would wake up on a Saturday or Sunday morning at 7 a.m. and hear the birds chirping outside, and I wasn't chasing a drug, I just hadn't spent every dime I had. I just hadn't extorted money from my mother the night before at 30-some odd years old.
Right.
Like, I was a lottery winner, bro.
Right.
like my life was beyond my wildest dreams.
Do you think it was just so many days in a row of feeling good? You just ended up feeling great when it came. I mean, I'm sure there's never.
I'm coming over to hug you, bro. I'm coming over to hug you. Yeah, absolutely. You string it together. In my recovery, I had 10 months sober. I was living over on 800 Cotman Avenue. These apartments over there called Regency Apartments.
Oh, yeah. I never even see it.
Yeah, right, Cotman and Rockwell.
Yep.
And I, the one Saturday night, I was on the fetal position underneath this little tiny table I had in the dining room, crying my eyes out because I wanted to drink so bad at 10 months sober. I just wanted to drink. I had to drink. Nothing anyone had said. And I had so many beautiful people. Bobby the Rock, Bobby Morrow, Tommy Dennery, Duff, all these guys from Glenside put their hands out and helped me. And this is where I wound up with 10 months sober. So at 9 a.m. the next morning, I took my car and I drove to Rulings, which isn't there anymore, but it was a seafood joint that served booze, mimosas in the morning. So after that 10 months of sobriety I found myself on a Sunday morning crushing mimosas at Ruling Seafood. Guys, that's as cheesy as you can possibly get. All right, man? Like, it's not a pretty sight. All right?
Yeah.
So you're a genius, Kevin. The exact reason what brought me back to recovery was because those 10 months were freaking nirvana. Once you get a taste of sobriety, and once you get a taste of not living like an animal, and once you get a taste of being a part of life, because I always felt outside the bubble and I was never a part of life, that you want it.
Did you encounter along the way any people that you had in your life that you had to separate yourselves from them because they weren't supportive of it and they were trying to pull you back down, or?
No, I thought you were going in a different direction with that. No, believe me, the people from Ronhurst, and because of Facebook, I believe Facebook's good and it's evil at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it's got this weird dichotomy going on with it. Because you can look at it and you can feel good when you see puppies and kids and unicorns and rainbows, but then you see something else and you're like, really? So once again, there's the judgmental prick side of me, which I want to kill. So Facebook might not be the best thing, but because of that, I've had a lot of people in my neighborhood, a lot of people from my past reach out to me and be nothing but loving.
I mean,
nothing. But
the biggest thing I got two takeaways from what you just said. The biggest thing is like the fact you're able to tell us that story about Atlantic City was awesome, and like
it's the truth.
You took accountability. And you use Facebook as a tool, and now it's completely changed your life, and you're able to live off of what you want to do.
Yeah, but I'm not remarkable that there's so many people out there in recovery that are just unsung heroes, that are just wickedly intelligent and wickedly sharp, that people just don't get what it really is. Right. It cultivates you as a human being. It makes you a better person. It makes you feel like you're a part of, like you belong, and you matter. Like that's pretty freaking cool.
That's the thing that we have to start talking about, is that you do matter. Like you have worth as a human being, no matter what you did. You know what I mean? You can always wake up and decide today's the day that I'm going to get it together. Today's the day. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter how old you are, how many things you've done, how many mistakes you've made, right? Like you can always wake up and just try to be better.
I mean, listen, there's a great expression in recovery. Awesome. If everyone sat around a circle and everybody threw the problems in the middle of the circle, you're going after your own. Yeah. Remember that.
I love that saying.
You're going after your own. Think about it, Kev. Yeah. That you're going to see the scope of somebody else's problems, and you're going to be like, no way. You'll take your own back instantly.
You're just not as bad as someone across from you.
Yeah. Grass is always greener because you're not on that side, bro. Right. If you get over there, it turns brown real quick.
So you mentioned earlier that your dad was an alcoholic, and I'm sure there are people watching who maybe have experienced that themselves. If you don't mind just diving a little bit into detail, I mean, not too much detail, whatever you're comfortable with.
No, I'm comfortable listening.
Whatever, like if there's someone out there who has a dad or a family member who's an alcoholic, what have you gone through and how have you, in some ways, like coped with it?
Well, it's not coping with it. It's coming to the realization that my father was my father and that he was flawed. And he grew up in Ireland. My mom and dad I'm first generation Irish American.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that's where I get my beautiful blue eyes.
You a McGregor guy? You a McGregor guy? Do you like Conor McGregor then? Or?
Oh, stop. He's crazy as a shithouse rat, but I love him. Who doesn't love the guy?
He's the man.
He's nuts. My mom and dad grew up in Ireland. They didn't know. You know what I mean? Like my dad had a 6th grade education, came here via the military, became a United States citizen. My father was a beautiful, beautiful man. When he put booze in his body, he became a rabid animal. One drop of whiskey and his whole entire mindset just morphed into evil.
Yeah.
Completely evil. So as I've gotten sober, I've started to have a bigger connection with my father because I pray to him every day. I ask him for guidance. I ask him for strength. And that he went from pillar to post in this world drunk. You know what I mean? Every holiday, everything done. Yeah, like I could go on. I remember one of the most vivid thoughts in my mind is of just summing up my father's alcoholism. Is I was at my wedding. I got married to a nice girl named Trish at 23 years old. That was destroyed because of addiction, also because I didn't know myself. How am I going to know her? That's just the way it is. So my dad's walking across King's Caterers with a beige suit on, and he's got urine all down the front of his pants. Oh. Like, that's really a proud moment for a guy to get married. And, I'm just as bad as him because I'm sniffing cocaine in the bathroom during this wedding. Like, I'm ready to get married.
Right.
But that if that paints the scope for you of my dad coming across, walking out of the bathroom like he didn't pull his Johnson out. You know what I mean? He just went right in his pants. Yeah. Well, that's alcoholism. And that affects a 2-year-old to a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
100%. It leaves scars. But once again, guys, be crystal clear. I don't blame my mother or father for one thing. They're not the reason I became an alcoholic.
The trauma wasn't.
It has nothing to do with that. Is that my trauma's real. My trauma was serious. It was embarrassing. I walked around with guilt, shame, and remorse everywhere I went.
Right. Yeah.
I had to do something to relieve that pressure valve. And when I found booze found me.
That's another thing I don't think people realize is I don't necessarily think that Pete, like your father, my brother, I don't really think they realize the effect they're having on their family members. You know what I mean? Like, they're not malicious. They're not thinking, oh, I want to make everyone else's lives hell. They don't even know how to get out of it. Their life has become hell.
Right.
Their life has literally imploded around them. I watched my brother go from a charming, handsome, great, just humor, like when he was a teenager, to somebody who was just a shell of himself. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't readily recognize him anymore. And the thing I watched was every single person, not everybody, because there were people that were still there for him and stuff, but a lot of of the people who, hey, let's party, let's pop pills, let's do this.
Right.
When it got down to the gritty, he was by himself out there.
They went stage left.
Stage left. He was by himself out there, and it was him and himself only.
That's right.
And that's it.
I feel like the friend, if let's say somebody speaks out to you about like their addiction or whatever they're going through, like, it has to be on the friend too to not try to reel them back into that world, because
absolutely,
you know what I mean, because they have to realize what they're going through.
Absolutely,
everything you're saying is that's garden variety 101 recovery. It's people, places, and things.
Right.
Where it's like, it's so simple, it's so ridiculously simple, but it's so true. Is that you're blessed? I check that out. I'm blessed for the fact that the people I surrounded myself with, and one of them was your uncle. Mm-hmm. Like, your uncle's relationship and mine, and we've had numerous conversations about this at my behest. I impose my will on him because I truly do. I love the guy. He's just a beautiful, beautiful dude, and
he's a great guy.
You're blessed to have a friend like Dave.
I am blessed. He's a great guy.
You're blessed to have an uncle. So people like that, I ran from them. Nick, they didn't run from me.
Right.
I ran from them.
Right.
That's
huge.
I'm down in Kensington at 4:00 in the morning in the Home Run Tavern. It's closed now, but it used to be a bar right down there off of Clearfield called the Home Run Tavern. And I'm down there at 4:00 in the morning, going in and out of hit houses, going in the basement, doing whatever I was doing.
Right.
Like,
so you can't blame anybody else. You can't, because that's a huge point too. Like, a lot of them, there were definitely people that tried to be there, and the addict tends to run. They tend to run.
Love me, love me. As you're going like this, you're holding the whole world
at bay. That's a huge thing right there.
Yeah, they ask you to love them, but when you get that attention, you push it away.
Push it away, man. Because you don't know. You feel so uncomfortable and you feel so broken.
Right.
It's just a part of your DNA and a part of who you've become.
Why do we do things that we know are not good for us? Why do we is it comfort?
Yes,
is it just comfort, you think, or we don't know?
Asked and answered. Our brains lie to us. Mm-hmm. That when I said I'm just going to do this, now there was everybody has that hub bar or whatever. I had a bar called the Ronhurst Cafe in my childhood,
Right.
And when my younger years, it was a childhood when you're 21 years old.
Yeah.
And the place was a solid place. There were decent people there. The owner is a friend of mine, Bobby Lutz. He supports the shit out of everything I do. He's always on Facebook. He's just a good guy. Okay, I myself, I was the problem. Okay, the Ronhurst Cafe wasn't the problem. Okay, like remember that. Remember that he provided a good service, good food, a clean environment. But then he had somebody like myself who'd go in there and try and sneak in the bathroom and do a line of cocaine off the toilet. You know, come on. Like,
see, that's something that now you're teaching me, because sometimes I tend to pit problems on other, like it's like reverse. You gotta reverse it. That establishment isn't the problem.
No
There's
way.
people that walk in and out of there every night, and they're fine. They're fine.
Exactly,
But remember,
exactly.
but then there's the 10%, because I'm not a Bible thumper, and I'm not going to sit here or big book thumper and stand up and say, just because I'm sober, everyone in the world. No. I'm the problem. I was the problem. I was the one who acted and reacted the way I did in these situations, which were horrifying. And after a while, it turned into this. I couldn't even go into the Ronhurst Cafe because I was so embarrassed of what I knew was about to happen. And I knew every time that when I put that first sip of vodka in my body, that it was game on.
Right.
That it was a roll of the dice, that nobody had a clue where I was going to wind up. But I always wound up in Kensington. Always wound up there. Always. That was at the end of my career.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, my drinking career is because this may sound horrible, guys, but I felt better.
When you weren't drinking, right?
No. You misunderstood me. I felt better when I was in Kensington because misery loves company.
Wow. Yes. Do you feel you had to go through all this to have what you have now? Do you feel that that was a part of it? Like, life's certainly it's a journey. It's 100% a journey. Right. Do you feel that if you didn't go through all this struggle and face yourself and have to contend with that reality of yourself, that you would be what you're doing right now?
Absolutely not in a million years. Are you
so
kidding
you don't
me?
So then I guess looking back, you don't have any regrets.
Not
right?
one person with real recovery, and I'd like to say I'm a little apprehensive. I try to the best of my ability to be a recovered man, to do the next right thing. I still go to meetings. I help just whatever. Okay, enough blowing my own horn here. The answer is there's not one person that's not thankful, and listen to my words, thankful and grateful for the journey they've had, because it led them to where they are today. And that's where I am. And the saddest thing, no, it's powerful. But listen, what breaks my heart to say that, and I feel a little uncomfortable, is that your brother didn't have the chance to do that also. Because I'm telling you right now, whatever you think of my stories or whatever position I've been blessed to be put in, I sit next to people in recovery every day that are just super freaking smart, super talented, super creative, and each and every one of them is there through the same process myself. So I'm no different,
Right.
And I'm no more blessed. I'm equally blessed as those folks.
I think it's another thing you hit on too. Like, when you're a recovering addict, like, you have to work at it every day. Like, there's people that say you can't really say you've recovered because you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, listen,
I feel like
I'll be drunk. I'll be back down in Kensington in 2 weeks.
It's not over, man.
I feel like
it's never over.
I feel like a lot of people think there's a time limit on it, when in reality it's just like you have to work at it every day in order to maintain it.
Beautiful. And here's what people get caught up in. They get so uncomfortable. There are horrific diseases out there that people go through: MS, lupus, cancer, heart disease, polio, whatever it may be. I went old school on you there with polio.
Yeah.
I think that's been eradicated, but I dropped the polio.
That's been going for a minute.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever, measles, mumps, diphtheria, whatever it may be, whatever you're going through. People get caught up when you say, addiction's a disease. Well, no, cancer's not a choice. Listen, each and every breathing person that's in recovery understands that. But until you come over to our side and understand that it's a mental health disease, I'm not comparing my addiction to your child's cancer.
Right.
You know what? I'll cut off my right arm if I could to help your child with cancer. Yeah. So that's what any human being would do. So nobody Nobody compares it like that. That gets blown out of proportion. That's very distorted. It's a mental health disease.
All right. So real quick to kind of top it all off, I wanted to ask you, for people that may be curious, who maybe want to also help others, how'd you get your beginning? How'd you get yourself to be traveling across the country, making a living, being an interventionist?
It was a grind, man. It was an absolute grind. Like I said, I did what was told to me. I'll try and keep this real short. I was working at Nutrisystem. I had a pretty decent job. It was a sober job. I was paying my bills. I took my credit score from a 420 to a at least redeemable credit score. When I first got sober, there was a lot of hitmen looking for me. American Express had a hitman looking for me. They were like, this dude owes us a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I did the right thing, is what I'm saying, is that I got terminated from that position. They terminated our department. It was the first time in my life I've ever been terminated from a job without the due cause being 100% my fault. They just did away with this with our department.
Okay.
They went, you know, whatever it is, technical, or they went. Help me out, guys.
A different director went all
digital. No, they went
all digital.
All digital.
Gotcha.
So they didn't need humans anymore.
Gotcha.
The human aspect.
That's a scary thought.
So there was 12 of us. So I leave out of there on a Friday. It was beyond overwhelming, beyond upsetting. I was able to pay my bills. I was living good. My life had turned full circle. And holy shit, I get kicked in. You know, I get kicked in the groin by life.
Yeah.
Well, I did what I was told to do. I went to an intervention. I went to an AA meeting that Sunday evening. I put my hand up. I said, "Hey, my name's Jimmy. I'm an alcoholic." I said, "I got terminated from a job that I really liked, and it was a blessing in my life."
Right.
So at that meeting was Phil Kelly, and Phil Kelly was the interventionist I told you when I found out that my buddy, a guy I knew from recovery, was doing this. That it was like a match made in heaven. Like it was meant to be that we were both at that meeting that Sunday night.
Right.
After the meeting, I walked up to him. We started talking. I said, "Phil, I'm out of a job." I said, "I'm really attracted to what you do. Is there any chance of maybe, you leading me or guiding me?"
Right.
And he took it upon himself to help me. He took it upon himself to guide me. He took it upon himself to show me the way.
And I think something we can all connect with too is that, kind of ended off on this, like, you don't have to be a professional interventionist or have a podcast to give back and to help others. You know what I mean? Like, I want to stress that, like, people, because like when you help others, it's so fulfilling. And I feel like if people can realize that if you're just little things as maybe donating or opening a Wawa door, like people that can help you feel fulfilled too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it's so important to stress that you don't have to.
There's something to this tonight, like us three sitting here and talking about this stuff. Like I feel we all see everything going on right now in the world. Like there's just so much pain out there right now, man.
Yeah.
Just so much. It's like you can feel it. Mm-hmm. Like it's in the air. I feel the pain.
Right.
And each person doing an act of kindness or can radically, like, people don't understand the power they have within just them.
Right.
To do that, hold a door or be patient with someone or say something, dude.
Just
act. Do something.
Just acting. Yeah.
Act. Just act.
James, is there anywhere that people can follow you at and check you out at?
Yeah, pretty simple. If you want to see the history of my work, Jim Reidy, Interventionist, Google that.
Okay.
A lot of my stuff will come up from there. I'm on Facebook as James Reidy. My company is www.addictiontreatmentgroup.com and and that's enough W's. At intervention365.com.
I mean, we'll have everything linked in the bio, everything like that. But James, thank you so much for coming on.
Guys, it was my pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming out and coming on. That was great.
You started the new year off on such a good way, especially for this podcast, and I'm so excited for people to watch it. And I think it's gonna be one of the best years of our lives. I have this weird feeling, 2021, like once this COVID shit ends, I have such a weird feeling that like it's gonna be such a big year.
You'll be back. We'll have you on again.
Listen, guys, I'm right back at you. You're both two superly impressive young men, and beyond my wildest dreams. Coming here, I was looking forward to it, and this was just beyond what I thought it was going to be. This was awesome.
I'm so excited for everyone to watch.
So Can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah, so this is the Loft episode 4. I'm Kevin Nichols. That's Nick Huser. That's James Reidy. And peace, guys.
See it.
Nice, dude.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Good job.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that, man. We hug now.
Yeah, let's hug it out.
Give me a big hug, bro.
My My mom wanted you to have this too. It's my brother's card.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's his prayer card. She wanted you to have
Yeah,
it.
I'll be in my car.
All right.
Yeah.
Keep that with you.
Wow.
We appreciate you helping them. You know?
Listen.